And right now, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome my good friend and co-host, Jeff Small, president of Arbor Financial Services, a retirement income store in Melbourne, Florida. And as you know, Jeff's also the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. So Jeff, I've got to ask you, after our fishing trip last weekend, have you eaten all the mahi? Have you eaten all the wahoo left? Or are you like me, you're about to throw some in the freezer?
No, we didn't freeze anything. My kids love fish, Dave. We ate all of it.
I love it. Good for you. All right. I guess I have a smaller family, so it lasts longer. So Jeff, hope you'll join me here in welcoming our guest, a really good friend of the income generation, best-selling author Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series. He's also the founder of Rich Global, LLC, and the Rich Dad Company. Robert, thanks so much for being back with us here on the Income Generation.
As I said, thank you, because what you guys are doing is a great job. Much necessary.
Yeah. So you've written recently about GameStop and how average investors getting with GameStop is such a great thing. I have to tell you though, if you saw this coming, I'm a little perturbed at you that you didn't call us and clue us in. So maybe we could have had some GameStop in our portfolios.
Well, the big question today is GameStop versus silver or precious metals. And the difference between GameStop and silver, let's say, is GameStop is a fake asset and silver is a real asset. The other thing too is silver is a $200 billion, that's how much big business. And I think GameStop is probably 500,000, it's not much. It's 500 million maybe.
Right.
So it's easy to manipulate it. The silver market is manipulated also, but it's a different market than the stock market. Just a background, I've been in silver since 1964. When I first saw, when I was 16 years old, I saw the dime, US dime had copper tinge around it. That was Gresham's law, which meant that they were making fake silver. And so I started collecting silver, gold, and all that stuff, I bought my first gold coin in 72. I built a gold company in China in the 1990s, and the Chinese government took it, which I'm not especially fond of the Chinese. And then I started a silver mine, and that's doing very well. So I've been in silver and gold and precious metals for a long time.
Well, silver, Robert, really is actually used in all the new TVs. People don't know this. There's an ounce of silver, unlike gold, which really doesn't have any true practical uses. Silver does have a use in business, like you said, and it's generating in industry a couple $100 billion a year. But we can't create interest earnings from silver. So what's generating all of this interest in hard assets today? Is it the short squeeze on silver that happened on the Reddit message boards where all of the investors came over to go long on GameStop and trump the hedge funds? So good for them, the tail wag the dog. But how do we generate interest earnings from gold and silver? How do we do that?
And Robert, I can't wait to hear your answer right after the commercial break here. So Robert, stay with us. We have a commercial break. We come back. We'll be asking Robert how to generate income from some of his favorite assets. We'll be back in a moment on the Income Generation. Welcome back to the Income Generation. I'm David Scranton, and I'm so happy to be here today with our good friend Jeff Small, and also an incredible friend of the Income Generation, Robert Kiyosaki. So Robert, right before the break, Jeff asked you the question about generating income. How do you generate income if you're going to be in silver? It's granted, it's a hard asset. It's not a fiat currency based asset, but still, if you're talking about silver, other commodities, maybe Bitcoin, can you really generate income from that if you're retired, if you're part of the income generation?
Well, it depends on how financially literate and experienced you are. I own a lot of silver company shares and gold company shares, and you can always, play the call and put option and short squeeze and all that. I think I wouldn't recommend it because that's a very sophisticated game. I make most of my money in real estate. Real estate is a game of debt and taxes. And after 2008, when interest rates dropped, I thought I died and went to heaven because the real estate market dropped also.
Yeah.
But the thing is that what the Rich Dad Company does is we recommend financial education. I'm studying constantly. That's why I'm saying you guys are doing a great job. You know, I can't believe these Reddit guys and Robinhood guys are jumping in. They don't know the difference between speculation and gambling.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a gambler, then you deserve to get what happens to you. Sure. Silver is a different market because the end user is a big company like Sony,
Sure.
Tesla, battery companies. Silver is a very big market. You're not playing with a bunch of rookie amateur Reddit guys. That's the difference.
Yeah, and Jeff, that's what you were saying right before the break too. Televisions, things like that.
Yeah, I was saying that, and I mean, there was just a group of people that came in to buy GameStop and went long. But getting back to income, you mentioned something about real estate, Robert. So, interest rates are incredibly low. Real estate is incredibly fluid. There's a lack of supply and a huge demand in real estate right now. So, where do we see that market going, and what do you think is going to happen with real estate going forward? Are we going into a bust, or is the buyer in real estate today just too financially strong, just too solid? What do you see happening in real estate the next 5 to maybe 10 years?
No, there's too much fake money chasing real estate right now with interest rates so low. And the worst thing about it is commercial, which is office buildings and shopping centers are set to crash. And when that happens, the bond market's going to go as well as the stock market. So that's why I'm in gold and silver. I'm also in Bitcoin, but I'm also very excited about real estate because I've been in real estate for most of my life. I take real estate courses all the time. I do not gamble. But the biggest difference between real estate and paper assets like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETF, real estate is not liquid. Whereas paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds are liquid. You make a mistake, you can get out. But you make a mistake with real estate, you're the skipper of the Titanic. And there's a lot of skippers of the Titanic out there right now who own office buildings and shopping centers. CMBS is collateralized mortgage-backed securities.
Sure.
They're going to be the biggest disaster going.
So Robert, final question then is that, most of our income generation viewers and listeners aren't really going to go out and buy a commercial property, but they might buy a rental property. They might buy a house or a couple of them. In a minute or so we have left, tell us, is the demand for those types of rentals strong enough right now where your average income generation member can use real estate in that way in bite-sized chunks in order to get cash flow?
I think I own 7,000 rental properties. I am out of the investment business for now because prices are too high and too many idiots are piling in. Now, does that mean I'm out of it? No, I'm waiting for the next crash. And that's what I was talking about. Commercial and the bond market and the stock market are set in precarious positions. I get sexually stimulated thinking about it, because I make more money in crashes. And so rather than chasing, at the top of the market, I would say to your viewers, take a real estate course. There's a lot of good books. There's a lot of online stuff like on YouTube and things like this. But real estate is illiquid. That's its biggest danger. You make a mistake, you're the skipper of the Titanic.
Yeah, and you've got to make sure that if you're going to rent it, you've got good credit-worthy tenants and long-term leases, and only then can you count on the cash flow. And you need a little bit of luck because black swan events like COVID do come around from time to time. So Robert, thanks so much for being back there with us. We really appreciate you being back on the show. Thank you.